So, okay, but the article you sent, let's see, what is it called? Um, American Family Today. It
Yeah,
just seemed like it was more statistics than anything, like just showing how, the family changes, the percentage of the family change. But me and you normally talk about is the effect of those changes.
well, in some other articles I had read, I didn't send them to you because I just wanted to get the bases out. It kind of talked about the effects of that change. Well, but I guess the most important thing was that having a family structure and how it was important for the family or a child. You know, it
You
was
talking about in the new article, because the one you sent me pretty much said the percentages of from 1960 to give or take today, the percentage of people who are married and have, I guess same, they come from a married two-parent home versus a divorced home versus like blended families has just dropped, and then the percentage of women who are breadwinners and stay at home has dropped. And it really didn't say the effects, but
well,
it
it's
does
not
point
drop.
out.
It's okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm saying it shifted, so it did point that out. The shift from the '60s to now, and like I said, I don't know if it even said the. I guess you can call it the breakdown, but it is the change in family structure is the way that was written. So
Yeah, yeah. That's basically it. Yeah, how family structures. And damn, I wish I would have sent you both articles. That well, it was a couple of them, but we're so used to kind of me you had talked about before. How it's important to have like the nuclear family and a two-parent home and whatnot. And then I was saying how that has really changed a lot, like dramatically, and across all races. Not just black or but whites and Hispanics and everybody. That whole two-parent dynamic of the family is completely changed. Now it's even so where you got blended families, people who have been remarried, people who ain't never been married, and they just cohabitating, and just how that has changed, the family structure, and whether one is better than the other.
well, my take. I still say because you came from a two-parent home, I came from a single-parent home. I say I admit what I used to say was how important it was and how much I would have loved to give my kids a two-parent home and how much better it is. But I will say, or at least I've kind of modified it, not so much better, but it is clear in statistics the advantage it gives having two people contributing to raising the children. So, like you said, we've kind of broken down where having a two-parent home isn't necessarily always great, because there's dysfunctional two-parent homes, or having a separated home is not necessarily bad if both parents are contributing. Just I've kind of modified it into having families working together. So my issue with the family structure is how broken the family is. Like it would be nice and ideal for the family to stay married and together and all of that, but it's at least hopeful that the families work together because dynamics are allowed to change. I mean, I can't say that I can't say that I'm not glad that that women are allowed to be in the workplace. So from the '60s or '60s or before that, when the men were the breadwinners and women really didn't work, I like being able to work. I like that. So change is not really the issue. It's the breakdown or the division and the part that where families are not working together and working against each other. Dynamic can change, but it shouldn't be in a negative way.
Okay, I kind of got you on that. Like people working. Well, I guess anytime you got folks who working against each other, what they say, a house divided will fall. Um, so that made me think about the people who come from matriarchal families, where it ain't just one generation; it's several generations of women who stick together, hang together. the man is not there. But these families and their structures kind of, it's functional. You got let's say, for example, like a grandmother or something, then she has her daughters and go on down, and people have the aunts, and it's a real support system, a real structure for the younger generations to look up to, and it is something that's solid and that's consistent.
Okay.
And judging that, how would that be different? Because basically, saying the whole point of a family structure for a person in general is to have support and guidance. That's why family is so important. They have support and guidance. I think that's what you was talking about when we talk about, family wealth and generations of people teaching each other and building up so you can go from one generation to the next and become better. And I think that's support and guidance.
Yeah, I know, but to piggyback off of what you were saying with the matriarchal family where you have the women and the grandmother and aunt and all these people, this is kind of the generational structure of the family. To me, my opinion, this is what's produced so many of these little boys. I mean, we got grown men that just are not very mature. Women and a matriarchal.
Hold on, pause. When you say mature, what do you mean by that?
Like women, we tend to nurture our children and coddle them. That's what women do. It's a lot of men are not very. To me, a lot of men, this day and age, what me and my friend call man boys, they're grown men, adults technically, of age, but they are not very responsible. They're not used to they're not trained to take care of somebody else. They're used to being taken care of. And really, as a woman, I'm not supposed to raise you to be just my son the rest of my life because that's never going to change. I'm raising you to be someone's husband, to be someone's father, to be a contributing citizen in this world as a man, not just my son.
Well, I think that's where the issue lies in, right? So if you come from a family structure where the man is like that, and that's his role. That's the role that he plays in that family structure. And say,
like
you talking about the woman is the breadwinner. Saying if the structure is set up like that, well, usually the woman is the breadwinner, and the man doesn't have to do all of these things. And him being a husband, he plays his role as a husband in the context of that family being matriarchal, or he's the boyfriend, or he's the daddy, or a sperm donor, or whatever you want to call these things. That doesn't make him less of a man because he doesn't do certain things. And some women who are from those type of family structures, they don't look to men to be all this great whatever, or because they are used to things being a certain kind of way. So
I disagree. You're saying that women are not, but in the family, that's kind of what you use. That's what works in that family. You're ideally, and this is even biblically, you're supposed to be raising your son to go out the family, branch out into the world. So your man.
If you're talking about biblical, the Bible says a man should leave his mother and father and cling, to basically to his wife.
Mm-hmm.
So
right.
He's clinging to his wife.
But he's clinging to his wife, looking for a mother, somebody to take care of him. So you're not going to agree, because I'm saying this from a woman perspective. I know a lot of women who have the same experience I have, where we have these boys raised by men, raised by women, and they send them out in the world and they still act like boys. And it's like, man, it's hard to overcome that, because you're not my son.
Let's stop. Let's stop that before we even go any further. Let's stop, please, because you can never call a man a boy, no matter what kind of man he is. He may be an irresponsible man. He may be a lazy man. He may be a man who just whatever. But he is never a boy. Okay?
He can act like a boy. That's what I said. They act like boys.
When you say act, you can't say act like boys. You know what I'm saying? Because a boy and a man are two different things.
But that's like saying you can't say a boy acting like a baby. It is different, but you know how to act, and you know how babies act. So no,
So
there is a distinction, and you can act like a baby.
in your mind, what's the difference between a boy and a man?
Responsibility.
Okay, responsibility. So are you separating a boy and a man mentally, physically, and emotionally? You know what I'm saying? Because
mentally, we'll say mentally, because obviously you're going to grow up, whether you want to or not. You're going to get older. You're going to get bigger. All those things are biological. But mentally, I mean, if you don't ever get taught to act a certain way, or taught to do a certain thing, or taught to respond a certain way, you're going to do what you know. So that's not indicative of biology.
Okay, pause. Let's stop right there. All right. You say a person is taught to act a certain way, taught to be a certain way, taught to respond a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, those are things that are cultural, that are taught, you know what I'm saying, to be a certain kind of way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Cultural, basically, that would come from the family structure.
Mm-hmm.
To be taught a certain kind of way. And basically, if you're not taught a certain kind of way, that doesn't make you less than. That just makes you different. Correct?
Well, what I'm saying is you're sending these men out to the world. Like, I'm not in your family. So I'm actually not disagreeing with you. I'm just telling you the translation. You're brought up to think that everyone is supposed to take care of you. Then you go out, branch out into the world as an adult, and your next step responsibility is to take care of somebody else. But if you're not taught to take care of somebody, you still think you're supposed to be taken care of. That role is supposed to graduate just like high school. You're supposed to get out of it.
There are women like that fall into that because there's a whole lot of women out here who take care of men.
Well, that's true. That's why the statistics look the way they look. Black people are amongst the highest of separated, highest of single parenting, highest of being at the bottom. So you're absolutely right.
And I don't think that has anything to do with a man wanting to be taken care of, because I think a lot of single women are, black single women are black single women, not because of a man, or a lack of a qualified man. You know what I'm saying? These are other things that got to do with maybe the single woman and the aspect of her. You know, not putting down anyone, but it could be several reasons. You know,
true. I'm telling you my perspective as a black single woman. So you're right.
Why they won't keep a man, or psychological women reason why a man will not stay around, or it's a whole lot of factors that go into that, and it is not necessarily always because of the irresponsibility of a man.
But you said not necessarily always. What I just told you is I know plenty of women that can attest to that very thing. Different men, different states, different ages, and they're going through those same experiences. So you can't tell me a black woman's experience because you're not a black woman. Well, we're not calling a black woman, but you can't tell me my experience.
No, I can't tell you about your experience. That's my whole point. Is that, but everybody doesn't have that same experience. We can go statistically. You know what I'm saying?
Did. And statistically, this is what's going on. More people are having those experiences.
Yeah, and that's why I brought it up, because across all cultures, it has been a decline in that nuclear two-parent home. And, you know what I'm saying, it has been an increase of cohabitation, or people who are remarried, or people who are just single. That has increased across all races.
But even in the article you sent, black people are still amongst the highest.
Black people have always been amongst the highest. Even,
so there's no way of ever balancing that out. We're just we have no control of that at all.
I'm not talking about. I didn't say it was no way to balance it out. But that's not even my argument right now. You know what I'm saying? Balance it out. All I'm saying is that there are different types of family structure, and one is not better than the other one. That's basically the whole point of the conversation.
Well, I agree. I said that. Like, I'm saying being different is not the issue. It not functioning is.
Yeah, it's not functioning is, and it's a whole lot of people that function good now. It was some more statistics if you read through the article, and it was also based off of education and income. I think that plays a huge factor in a lot of the dysfunction.
Mm-hmm. So you can take that back to the family, and I can attest to that right now. Going through this pandemic, being a single mother with, and I make decent money, but compared to, like, just say apples to apples, being a single mother making what I make, in comparison to another mother who makes the exact same thing I make. If she has a husband or, I guess, a contributor helping, guess what? Schools are not open. They have better access to hiring somebody to help in this than I do. I'm going to have to keep these kids at home and train and teach them myself. That's an income thing based on the fact that I got to do it by myself, which is significantly harder than people who are doing it together. And we're among the highest of doing it alone. So education is going to constantly become, I guess, a product of broken homes, because it's broken income to contribute towards the education. So that cycle is just going to keep circling.